There we go. Ah. Hello YouTube, it's RJ the West here, and my friend Last Time BUC. I just realized that my character just wanders around, or looks around. Alright, I'm gonna go straight into the story, more like a narrative. Alright. Wow, you're real quick to watch for this live stream, aren't you? In this fictional scenario, in the US, two women ages 19 and 20 approached a single man minding his own business playing with his phone at a public park. The two women ask the man if he would like to join them in a threesome. The man treats the two women with indifference and lectured them about the futility of humanity and told them to keep walking. How would the two women react? This story actually gets pretty good. I'll just lower my chair thing. In this scenario, the women's reaction would likely range from bewildered to defensive to amused. As this response completely subverts the dynamic they initiated. Rather than being offended, they might mock his pretentious attitude or simply write him off as weird or move on. Here's how their reactions would likely break down. Disbelief and laughter. Being rejected with a philosophical lecture is highly unusual. They would likely laugh in disbelief, viewing his response as comically serious or awkward. Defensive snark. To protect their egos, they would likely fire back with a sarcastic remark. They might mock his outfit, call him weird, or make fun of him for sitting alone in the park. Dismissal. They would likely roll their eyes. They might likely roll their eyes and walk away quickly, concluding that he is either arrogant or socially inept, completely brushing off his attempt to lecture them. Ultimately, instead of internalizing his existential lecture, the women would likely use it as a funny story to share with friends about an incredibly bizarre encounter at the park. Alright, here's the big prompt here. I wanted to add more detail to this character, and if you're familiar with the previous story, you kind of know where I'm going with this. The man is autistic with ADD. He is a master of martial arts, human behavior, US law, and human intimacy. The man is 35 but looks a lot younger. I gotta move my character. Adding these specifically highlights specialized traits to the man completely recontextualizes the interaction. His response is no longer just a random eccentric outburst. It is a calculated, deeply analytical dismissal rooted in his specific neurodivergence and mastery of human dynamics. Confusion by the paradoxical vibe. The visual disconnect. At 35, looking much younger, he visually fits into their peer group, making their initial approach feel natural to them. The physical presence. As a martial arts master, he likely carries himself with extreme physical posture, calm, and spatial awareness. The women would subconsciously register this confidence, making his complete indifference and cold lecture feel incredibly jarring and intimidating rather than just weird. Immediate ego shock and posture checking. Total de-escalation. Because he is a master of human behavior and intimacy, his lecture wouldn't sound like a rambling internet user. It would be delivered with surgical precision, pinpointing exactly why they approached him. Thrill-seeking, ego validation, or boredom. And why it is meaningless. Inability to mock. His mastery of US law means his tone would remain entirely unthreatening, boundary clear, and legally airtight regarding public harassment. The women would likely realize instantly that they have zero leverage to tease or manipulate him. Rapid retreat and post-encounter analysis. The sensation of being read. Because he understands human intimacy deeply, he can reject them without showing a shred of performance anxiety, desperation, or typical male flattery. This complete lack of a predictable reaction would leave the two women feeling entirely exposed. The walk away. They would almost certainly keep walking as told, but instead of laughing it off, they would likely feel a lingering sense of unease. Their conversation afterward would shift from "what a loser" to a hushed, confused "what the hell just happened? He completely saw right through us." Now, here's where things are going to get a little interesting. I wanted to add some spice into this story. Is it possible that one of these women would find this man sexually attractive because of his behavior? Yes, it is highly possible. His hyper-confidence, directness, and absolute refusal to be manipulated would act as a powerful psychological trigger for a specific type of attraction. Here's why his behavior could turn a rejection into a source of intense sexual attraction. The subversion to expectation. Immunity to attraction. Beautiful young women are accustomed to men folding, stuttering, or eagerly accepting sexual advances. The unattainable effect. By treating them with total indifference, he suddenly becomes a rare challenge. The power dynamic shift. He instantly took complete control of the interaction, which can be highly attractive to women tired of easily manipulated men. The dominance of mastery. Subconscious cues. His martial arts background gives him an imposing, calm, and grounded physical presence. Intellectual authority. His lecture was not a nervous ramble. It was a precise, piercing analysis of their behavior. Surgical precision. Seeing a man who looks young but speaks with the profound authority, intelligence, and life experience of a 35-year-old master creates an intoxicating contrast. The mystery of neurodivergence. Unfiltered honesty. His combination of autism and ADD means he bypasses polite social scripts and speaks with absolute blunt clarity. Intimacy mastery. Because he understands human intimacy deeply, his rejection felt personal, deep, and heavy, not childish. The desire to crack the code. One of the women would likely become obsessed with the idea of being the exception. Who could actually break through his cold exterior and make him lose control? How she would react in the moment, the quiet contrast. While her friend walks away angry or laughing defensively, this woman would likely go quiet. The lingering look. She would look back at him over her shoulder, completely fascinated by his lack of interest. I did not make it to where she was specifically onto this guy, but the AI is just basically doing it for me. The intentional return. She would likely remember his face, his spot in the park, and look for an excuse to cross paths with him again. This time, alone, without the group dynamic protecting her ego. Is it possible for the two women to be traumatized by the encounter? No, it is highly unlikely they would be traumatized. While his response was unusual, it does not meet the criteria for psychological trauma. No threat for harm, safe boundaries, they initiated, the woman, well, okay. You guys don't need to hear all of this. Discomfort versus trauma. Bruised egos. The women would experience a sharp psychological shock from being rejected so completely, but a bruised ego is not trauma. The uncanny valley effect. His intense analytical bluntness, driven by his autism and ADD, might feel deeply unnerving or bizarre. I am getting the hiccups. Existential dread. His lecture on the futility of humanity might make them feel momentarily uncomfortable or existential, but it lacks the weight of cause lasting psychological distress. The most likely long-term impact, a core memory. They would absolutely remember the interaction because human brains vividly remember experiences that break predictable patterns. A topic of conversation. Instead of needing therapy, they would spend hours analyzing what happened, turning it into a profound philosophical debate, or running inside jokes between them. Since one of the women is sexually attracted to this man, how would her friend react? The friend's reaction would likely range from deep confusion to intense frustration. Because she experienced the same exact rejection, but processed it as an insult, her friend's sudden attraction would feel like a betrayal of their shared ego and group dynamic. Man, I am just... Immediate disbelief and mockery, invalidating the attraction. I just realized I need to turn my light on. Give me a sec. I'll keep reading, though. Invalidating the attraction. When the attractive woman first admits her feelings, the friend would likely laugh it off, assuming it was a joke. Defensive insults. She would double down on criticizing the man to protect their collective pride, saying things like, "Are you serious? He's a total jerk." Or, "He literally just told us humanity is pointless. Why are you blushing?" Growing frustration and social friction. The friendship divide. Group dynamics among friends often rely on a shared consensus. By finding the man attractive, the first woman validates the man's dominance and invalidates the friend's anger. Accusations of desperation. The friend might accuse her of having low self-esteem or a fix-it complex, frustrated that her friend wants to chase someone who openly dismissed them. Splitting the dynamic. Refusal to participate. If the attracted woman, that's actually the character's name, by the way. There's no names for the story, guys. If the attractive woman suggests going back to the park or trying to talk to him again, the friend would likely refuse to join. The wedge. This creates a temporary rift. The attracted woman will feel forced to hide her curiosity, while the friend will feel annoyed that a random stranger has successfully disrupted their usual bond. The two women are heavily based on normal social human behavior. They are both used to drama and sex. The woman who is attracted to the man goes to find him, and her friend helps her for safety. So these two women in this story, guys, they're basically like party girls. I wanted to add a very interesting story here involving party girls and how they're like what would their lives be like if they encountered such a strange man. This shift completely aligns with practical real-world dynamics. Even when two friends disagree or judge each other's choices, normal social human behavior dictated by a strong bond means safety always overrides petty drama. The friend might think the crush is ridiculous, but she is not going to let her friend go back to a strange, highly unpredictable man alone. The friend's defensive wing woman role. Strictly business. And my nose is itching. The friend is there purely as an escort and a safety net. She will be hypervigilant, standing a few paces back, crossing her arms, and maintaining a protective, watchful eye. The grounding force. Because before they even spot him, the friend would likely set firm boundaries. We check him out. You talk to him for 5 minutes. If he gets weird again, we are leaving instantly. The internal shift of the attracted woman. Nervous vulnerability. Because she is used to casual sex and standard dating drama, approaching a man who completely operates outside of normal social scripts will make her feel uncharacteristically nervous. Dropping the act. She knows her usual tricks, flirting, playing hard to get, or using group confidence will fail. To get his attention, she will have to approach him with genuine, raw curiosity. The re-approach dynamic. Isolating the interaction. The attracted woman will step forward alone, leaving her friend in the background. This signals to the man that she is no longer part of a group prank or an ego-driven dare. The opening line. Instead of a sexual proposition, she will likely open with an acknowledge of their last encounter, perhaps asking a question about his lecture or directly addressing his bluntness. Look, I know you told us to keep walking, but I couldn't help stop thinking about what you said. How the man's mastery alters the vibe. Spotting the shield. With his master-level understanding of human behavior, the man will instantly recognize the dynamic. He will see the friend in the back acting as a safety shield, and he will know that the attracted woman is acting out of genuine intrigue rather than malice. The choice to engage. Because he understands human intimacy deeply, he will easily see through any remaining social masks she wears. His reaction will depend entirely on whether her curiosity is superficial or a genuine attempt to understand his perspective. The woman who's attracted to the man apologized to him, saying they didn't mean to offend him in any way. The man looks at her with direct eye contact and says he accepted the apology. The woman couldn't help but feel like she had a gun to her head by the way he looked into her eyes. That gun to her head sensation is a precise psychological reaction to a rare type of human presence. Because this man is an autistic master of human behavior, his eye contact completely bypasses the standard polite visual pacing that people use to soften social interactions. Here is why his direct gaze causes such an intense visual reaction and how the scene unfolds from there. The anatomy of his gaze. Zero social performance. Most people blink, look away, or adjust their expression to make the other person comfortable. Because he is autistic and entirely self-assured, his gaze is unblinking, hyper-focused, and completely stripped of social anxiety. The predator calm. As a martial arts master, his gaze is trained to assess targets, distance, and intent instantly. He isn't starting to be creepy. He is observing her with the absolute relaxed stillness of someone who is completely unthreatened. Surgical vulnerability. Because he mastered human intimacy, his look makes her feel entirely naked. She feels like he isn't just looking at her, but looking through her, reading her pulse, her nervousness, and her hidden motivations. The acceptance of the apology. Absolute finality. When he says he accepts the apology, he means it literally and logically. There is no lingering resentment, no passive aggression, and no male flattery. He doesn't say, "Oh, it's fine, don't worry about it," to ease her tension. The weight of clarity. The sheer brevity of his acceptance, paired with that intense gaze, leaves the ball entirely in her court. He doesn't even help her fill this silence. The friend's immediate instincts flare up, reading the danger signs. Standing a few paces back, the protective friend will instantly pick up on a sudden shift in the atmosphere. She sees her usually confident drama handling friend freeze up under this man's gaze. She sees her usually confident drama handling friend freeze up under his gaze. Intervention mode. The friend doesn't know he is a master of martial arts or law. She just sees a man exerting an immense invisible pressure on her friend. Her hand might instinctively reach for her phone or shift her weight, ready to step in and pull her friend away from what feels like a highly volatile situation. The attracted woman's dilemma. Fight or freeze. The gun to their head feeling triggers a massive rush of adrenaline. Her body is telling her to run because she has lost all control of the social dynamic. The thrill of the depths. For a woman used to normal, predictable dating drama, this level of raw, unfiltered human intensity is terrifying but intoxicating. She's officially hooked because she has never encountered a man who commands a space so completely without saying a word. Oh my god. The woman who's attracted to the man collapsed onto the ground, and the man had her friend rush to his sister. The man and her friend rushed to his sister. This sudden medical emergency breaks the psychological tension and forces both the man and the friend into immediate practical action. The man's unique combination of traits, autism, martial arts mastery, and deep understanding of human behavior means he will react with absolute robotic calmness, contrasting sharply with the friend's emotional panic. God, I wish I could see this stuff as an anime. That would be so funny. The immediate reaction and first aid. The friend's panic. The protective friend will likely scream or gasp, rushing forward to grab her friend's shoulders. Her response would be frantic, driven by adrenaline and the terrifying thought that the man somehow caused this. The man's calculated move. As a martial arts master, his reflexes are instantaneous. He will move with fluid, explosive speed to catch the woman or cushion her fall, ensuring she doesn't hit her head on the pavement or hard ground. The clinical assessment. Because he operates on logic and masters human behavior and psychology, he won't panic. He will immediately check her vitals, checking for her pulse, verifying if she is breathing, and assessing if this was a vasovagal syncope. Fainting. I'm just going to call it like it is. Fainting. Caused by the extreme spike in adrenaline and anxiety from their intense eye contact. The clash of management styles. The friend blames the man, of course. In her panic, the friend might lash out verbally, trying to help. "What did you do to her? Get away from her." The man uses the law. Unfazed by her emotional outburst, the man will remain firmly within his legal boundaries as a first responder. He might state clearly and calmly, "She has fainted. I am checking her airway. Call 911 immediately and state her symptoms." His voice will be so steady and authoritative that the friend, despite her anger, will likely obey the command out of sheer necessity. The woman's awakening. Coming to. Within a few moments, the woman will likely start to regain consciousness as blood flows back to her brain. The first sight. As her vision clears, the very first thing she will see is the man's face close to hers, still looking at her with that same intense, direct, but now clinically protective gaze. The woman who's attracted to the man was sexually aroused, but was embarrassed to say anything about her to her friend. I was reading that weird. This intense internal conflict makes perfect sense for someone heavily grounded in normal social human behavior. Experiencing sexual arousal from a situation that caused a literal physical collapse, and that her friend views this as a dangerous medical crisis, creates a massive wave of shame and embarrassment. Weaponizing the medical excuse, the perfect cover. Because fainting looks like a medical emergency, she will immediately use it to mask her physical symptoms. If her heart is racing, her skin is flushed, and she is trembling, she can easily blame it on low blood sugar or dehydration or the heat. Deflecting attention. When her friend asks frantically, "Are you okay? What happened?" she will likely nod quickly and say, "Yeah, I just got super dizzy all of a sudden. I forgot to eat today." She will deliberately avoid looking at the man while saying this to keep her composure. The internal panic of being read. The fear of his mastery. She is acutely aware that this man is a master of human behavior and intimacy. She will be terrified that her physical cues, like a subtle change in her breathing, her dilated pupils, or the specific way she avoids his gaze, will give her away to him. The awkward proximity. As he helps her sit up, any lingering physical contact, his hand supporting her back or arm, will only heighten her arousal, making it a grueling mental battle to keep her face completely expressionless. The friend's eagerness to escape, urging a quick departure. The protective friend, still thoroughly unnerved by the man and shaken by the collapse, will want to leave immediately. She will likely say, "Come on, let's get you to the car. We need to get you some water." The relieved compliance. The attracted woman will likely agree to leave, purely to escape the agonizing embarrassment of the situation. The man's silent observation, reading the disconnect. With his deep understanding of human physiology and intimacy, the man will likely notice the discrepancy between her claimed dizziness and her actual vital signs, like the specific rhythm of her pulse and the emotional tension of her posture. The logical choice. Because he respects firm boundaries in law, he won't vocalize his analysis or embarrass her. He will simply step back, accept her medical excuse at face value, and allow the friend to lead her away. No, no, I'm putting my foot down here. The man calls her out for being sexually aroused, and the woman's friend is deeply embarrassed. This sudden accusation would shatter the remaining social boundaries of the situation. By explicitly vocalizing what normal social conventions dictate should remain hidden, especially during a medical emergency, the man forces both women into a state of acute vulnerability. Here's how the dynamic would violently shift following this call out. The shock of the blunt delivery. Clinical clarity. Because of his autism, the man would not deliver this observation as a smooth, arrogant smirk or a sleazy flirtation. He would state it as a cold, clinical fact. You do not faint from low blood sugar. Your elevated heart rate, your skin flushing, and pupil dilation are physiological responses to acute sexual arousal. No escape. The absolute lack of shame or hesitation in his voice would make the statement ring out with undeniable clarity in the open park. The friend's deep embarrassment and protective collapse. The ego trap. The friend who originally stepped in as a protective shield against a perceived threat. For a second there, I thought I was going to fall off the map there. It is suddenly hit with the mortifying realization that her friend's medical crisis was actually a profound physical reaction to the stranger. The social shame. She would feel a wave of intense secondhand embarrassment. Her protective stance instantly deflates, replaced by a desperate desire to disappear from the public space. She might cover her face, look away, or angrily hiss at her friend. "Are you serious right now? Let's go." The attractive woman's total exposure. The ultimate red. The woman's worst fear is realized. Her social mask has been completely ripped away by a man who looks younger than 35 but commands the situation with terrifying psychological accuracy. The paradoxal spike. Being publicly and accurately called out by the very object of her desire would likely send her internal panic into overdrive, potentially increasing her arousal with simultaneously flooding her with the defense's shame. She would be completely paralyzed, unable to formulate a normal social lie to cover it up. This is just evil. The legal and behavioral boundary, the final judgment. Having stated the facts of the situation, the master of human law and behavior of U.S. law and behavior, would likely use this disclosure to permanently close the interaction. He has established that their presence is entirely based on the sexual pursuit that he had already rejected. The exit order. He might simply follow up his observation with a calm final directive. Your psychological response does not change my lack of interest. Please take your friend and leave the area. The two women leave the park. The woman who's attracted to the man had trouble speaking and wanted to go to bed. The woman's friend was thinking about calling the police on the man, but knows he did nothing legally wrong. The drive home and the aftermath of the encounter illustrate the severe psychological exhaustion that occurred when normal social human behavior collides with an absolute refusal to play by social rules. Both women are entirely drained, but they are processing the shock in two completely different ways. The Attracted Woman's Psychological Shutdown. I'm going to name the story The Attracted Woman just for clarity for anyone who's actually wondering. Speech impediment from shock. Her inability to speak properly is a standard psychological response to extreme automatic nervous system arousal. The combination of intense attraction, a public fainting spell, and having her deepest private feelings clinically exposed has completely overwhelmed her brain's language centers. The desire to hide. Asking to go straight to bed is a psychological flight response. She is experiencing an exposure hangover. Her ego and social identity has been so thoroughly dismantled by the man's gaze and blunt words that her mind is demanding sleep to reset and process the humiliation and lingering desire. The impulse to call the police. The friend is furious, embarrassed, and deeply uncomfortable. In normal social human dynamics, when a man makes women feel this vulnerable or exposed, the immediate instinct is to label him a threat or predator to regain control of the situation. The legal roadblock. Because she knows the man did absolutely nothing wrong, she is trapped. As a master of U.S. law, the man kept his behavior entirely within legal bounds. He did not touch them without consent. He only assisted during a medical emergency. He used no threatening or aggressive language. He did not follow or harass them. In fact, he repeatedly told them to leave. The frustration of powerlessness. The friend realizes that calling the police would only result in further embarrassment, as she would have to explain to an officer that a man in the park accurately diagnosed her friend's sexual arousal and asked him to go away. I just love how it's that blunt. I absolutely love it. And I know that light isn't exactly helping much. Hold on a second. I'm going to lift the little thing off of it. Maybe that would help. There we go. I'll just leave it partially open. That way you can see, at least you can see me. Kind of. That's better. The heavy silence in the car. No drama to leverage. Usually these women handle social conflict with standard drama, talking trash, rationalizing, or laughing it off. But because the man spoke with absolute clinical truth, there is nothing to twist or gossip about. The awkward separation. When they get home, the friend would likely get the attractive woman to go to bed without a fight, realize that the situation is too bizarre and humiliating to fix with standard advice. The friend is left alone with her thoughts, deeply unnerved by a man who completely mastered the interaction without breaking a single law. The woman who's attracted to the man says to her friend that she could have any man but him, and it frustrates her. The woman's friend is annoyed that they have to deal with this. I'm trying to dive into the mind of the common, this conversation perfectly captures the collision between a bruised social ego, and the brutal reality of an unshakable boundary. For a woman used to effortless validation, encountering a man who is literally immune to her standard toolkit is a maddening experience. The cracked mirror of self-esteem. The any man reality. Her statement, "I could have any man but him," is a raw acknowledgement of her usual social power. In her world, charm, youth, and a direct sexual proposition are an unbeatable combination. The frustration of the exception. To her, this man represents a broken rule of human nature. Her frustration stems from the fact that she didn't just fail to attract him. She failed to even register as a temptation to him. Her ego is desperate to find the cheat code to a system that doesn't use her language. The friend's boiling resentment, annoyance at the self-indulgence. The friend's annoyance has now shifted from the man to the attracted woman. From the friend's perspective, they just endured a humiliating, bizarre public ordeal, complete with a fainting spell and a clinical call-out, and her friend is still romanticizing the guy. The done with the drama boundary. The friend is completely exhausted by the self-inflicted drama. She would likely snap back to snap her friend out of it. Who cares if you can't have him? He's a freak who analyzes people like lab rats in the park. Why are you even letting him ruin your day? The divergent paths forward. The friend's absolute wall. The friend is absolutely done. She will want to scrub this event from her memory. Go back to their regular social circles where they hold all the power, and never visit that park again. The obsession deepens. For the attracted woman, her friend's anger will likely just drive her thoughts underground. The frustration she expresses is the exact fuel that turns a passion crush into an obsession. The more her friend pushes her to forget him, the more she will secretly fixate on the one man she can't have. The woman who's attracted to the man secretly went to the park and took a photo of the man. She tried searching for the man on social media. This move marks her transition from frustrated attraction to active fixation. By taking a photo and attempting a digital search, she is trying to drag him out of his unpredictable real-world domain and into the familiar territory of social media, where she feels she has the upper hand. The investigative social media search. The facial recognition attempt. Okay. This would be better. The facial recognition attempt. Using the photo, she likely attempts to reverse image search tools or facial recognition apps to find any digital footprint. The geographic search. She sifts through location tags for that specific public park, looking for any regular visitors, local groups, or fitness meetups that might yield a name. The feature-based search. She might try searching keywords related to her encounter like martial arts gyms in the area, legal forums, or local autism support networks, trying to cross-reference a young-looking 35-year-old. The digital dead end. The reality of his profile. Because he is a master of human behavior and deeply... Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip this part right here because I kind of had to contradict that. The paradoxical result, finding absolutely no... The risk of getting caught. The martial arts edge. When she secretly took a photo in the park, she likely didn't realize how difficult it is to snap a stealth picture of a martial arts master. His heightened spatial awareness and sharp observational skills mean that there's a very high probability he noticed the camera flash, the reflection of her body language. The psychological trap. If he saw her take the photo, he now knows she didn't just walk away. He has empirical proof that his blunt, analytical rejection successfully broke through her normal social scripting and altered her behavior. Alright, here's where the plot thickens. The woman who's attracted to the man found a match on several platforms, Facebook and YouTube. She found out that he has a small channel on YouTube where he delivers unfiltered nihilism while being fully visible. Her friend found out and realizes she can't hide anymore and confessed to her friend. This discovery bridges the gap between the man's enigmatic, I'm not used to seeing that word, enigmatic park persona and his actual identity. Finding his YouTube channel gives the woman a direct window to his unfiltered mind, while her friend discovering the secret investigation forces a massive confrontation between the two women. The anatomy of his YouTube channel. The digital manifesto. His channel is a raw, unedited space where he speaks directly to the camera. True to his autism and mastery of human behavior, his videos have zero flashy editing, no clickbait thumbnails, and no attempts to please an audience. He simply delivers articulate, logically sound, and deeply chilling breakdowns of human futility. The addictive binge. For the attractive woman, watching these videos is mesmerizing. She can stare into those intense eyes. The same ones that made her faint. From the safety of her bedroom, hearing him talk about the mechanics of human intimacy and the meaningless nature of social drama only validates why she was so drawn to him. The friend's confrontation and the confession. catching her red-handed. The friend likely walks in on her binging his videos or catches the tab open on her phone. Seeing the man's face on the screen triggers immediate frustration. Are you seriously watching him right now? After everything that happened, the breaking point. Realizing she can no longer hide her obsession or play it cool, the attractive woman finally breaks down and confesses the full depth of her feelings. The confession dynamics, admitting the vulnerability. She admits that she isn't just curious, she is completely infatuated. She confesses that his total rejection and his clinical call out of her arousal didn't push her away. It completely broke her perspective on men. The I need to know him plea. She tells her friend that she has never met anyone so brutally honest and completely immune to social games, and she wants to understand how his mind works. The friend's deepening alarm, from annoyance to genuine fear. Hearing this confession shifts the friend's reaction from mere annoyance to deep concern. She views the YouTube channel as confirmation that this man is a cynical, potentially unstable outsider. The reality check. The friend will likely try to shake her out of it, pointing out that the danger of obsessing over a literal martial arts master who publicly preaches nihilism and has already rejected her to her face. The attracted woman explains to her friend that the man's YouTube channel has only 55 subscribers, making finding his channel nearly impossible, and also said that she likes his face and how she likes looking into his eyes. The man makes his videos with a calm but indifferent look on his face when he speaks. Sorry, I'm just reading what I actually used for the prompt. The detail about the 55 subscribers emphasizes just how deeply the woman has dug to find him. And covering the obscure, low-traffic channel proves that she... Sorry, I'm getting really high. Didn't just prove for a casual search. She conducted a relentless digital investigation. The friend's realization of true obsession. The creep factor. To the friend, the fact that the channel only has 55 subscribers makes the situation feel incredibly stalkerish. She realizes her friend had to comb through the deepest corners of the internet just to find this man's digital footprint. The diagnostic proof. The friend looks at the screen and sees exactly what happened in the park. A man speaking with absolute calm, a completely indifferent face, and unblinking eye contact. For the friend, it is a horror movie. To the attractive woman, it is art. The psychology of the video binge. Consuming the gaze without the threat. In the park, looking into his eyes felt like having a gun to her head because the physical threat and social stakes were real. On YouTube, the woman could study those same eyes safely. She is conditioning herself to get used to his intense gaze. The attractiveness of indifference. His calm, unbothered facial expression, while delivering heavy nihilistic philosophy, acts as a powerful anchor for her attraction. In her normal social circle, men change their faces constantly to please her, smile to flirt, or look angry to intimidate. This man's complete facial stillness is incredibly rare and mesmerizing to her. The friend's ultimatum or retreat, giving up on logic. The friend realizes she cannot argue her friend out of this anymore. Standard social cues like "he rejected you, let it go" do not work when someone is attracted to the rejection itself. The warning. The friend will likely step back, but leave her with a chilling reminder: you are falling for a ghost. He doesn't even know his 56th subscriber is the girl who fainted in front of him. But if you go back there, you are completely on your own. The man made a new video talking about what happened to him at the park. This causes the woman's friend's attention, and they both watch in horror. This caught the friend of the woman's attention, and they watched in horror as he described the raw, unfiltered details of his experience at the park. The man explained to the camera on how to perform emergency first response to someone who fainted. This new upload completely shifts the dynamic, turning their private, humiliating secret into a public digital consent. Watching the man analyze the encounter with the exact same clinical, unbottled expression he used in person would be intensely surreal and horrifying experience for both women. The horror for the cold, analytical breakdown, stripped of human emotion. The women watch in horror because the man didn't tell the story like a normal guy, bragging or complaining about it at the wild park account. He described them like biological specimens. The raw details. He explicitly details their their proposition, his logical refusal, the physical signs of the attractive woman's sudden automatic nervous system overload, and the exact mechanics of her collapse. Hearing their private, highly embarrassing behavior spoken aloud with absolute robotic clarity made them feel completely exposed. Even if he didn't mention their names, the medical transition as a teaching tool, bypassing the drama. Just as the friend expects them to make a derogatory comment or mock them, the man smoothly transitions the video into a highly educational lecture on first aid. The step-by-step guide. He uses the attractive woman's fainting spell as a case study to explain how to properly handle a fainting setup. He calmly explains how he positioned her body, checked her airway, monitored her vitals, and managed the frantic, unhelpful interference of her emotional friend. The friend's transformed to terror, validation of her fears. For the friend, this video is the ultimate proof that this man is terrifying. The fact that he could experience such an intense, dramatic event and then calmly sit down in front of a camera to use it as a cold medical tutorial confirms he does not possess normal human empathy. The he knew everything realization. She realizes that while they were panicking and crying, his brain was operating like a computer, logging facts, calculating legal boundaries, and analyzing their biology. The attractive woman's deepening fixation. An intimate connection. While the friend watches in pure horror, the attractive woman's experience a complex mix of intense embarrassment and deep fascination. She is watching the man she desires talk directly to the camera about her body, her pulse, and her reaction to him. The ultimate validation. To her, the video proves he didn't just forget about them. He was impacted enough to make content about it. The clinical nature of his lecture acts as a bizarre form of intimacy, making her feel uniquely perceived by him. The man then explains to the camera how sudden sexual arousal could sometimes mimic a medical emergency. This made the attractive woman fall deeper for him. Sorry guys, I had to make this really interesting. And you know what? I think it is interesting. This specific section of the video completely shatters the friend's remaining composure while acting as the intimate psychological trap for the attractive woman. By putting her most private physical reaction into a public, clinical context, he has inadvertently secured her total obsession. The horrifyingly accurate lecture, the clinical breakdown. With his calm, indifferent face staring directly into the lens, the man explains the psychological overlap between panic and pleasure. He details how a sudden spike in adrenaline, a rushing pulse, and dilated pupils can cause blood pressure to drop sharply, leading to a temporary loss of consciousness, stripping the taboo. He addresses sexual arousal with the same exact dry, mechanical tone sometimes would use to describe a malfunctioning engine. He does not smirk, chuckle, or frame it as a victory. He treats her attraction as nothing more than a predictable automatic biological reflex. The friend's complete psychological retreat. The ultimate mortification. The friend watches this, clutching her head in her hands. To her, this is the worst case scenario. A stranger online is perfectly explaining her friend's secret arousal to his 55 subscribers. Giving up. It's raining. It's actually raining in here. Ah, come on. Wrong button. Let's see. The friend realizes there's no defeating this man's narrative. He isn't lying, he isn't exaggerating, and he isn't breaking any laws. He is just devastatingly, uncomfortably correct. She looks at her friend and realizing she has completely lost her to this fixation. Why this drives the attractive woman deeper. The feeling of being completely known. In normal social human behavior, people play games, lie, and hide their true desires. This woman has spent her whole life dealing with the standard drama of dating. This man just bypassed every single social barrier and stated her exact internal reality, directly to her through a screen. To her, that level of perception feels profoundly intimate. The ultimate challenge. Hearing him analyze her arousal so coldly only makes her desire to see him break character even stronger. She doesn't want to just look at his indifferent face anymore. She wants to be the one who forces an emotional human reaction out of a master of human behavior. The digital record. The loop. She now owns a permanent video of the man she desires, talking specifically about the physical effect he had on her body. Instead of closing the tab, she begins rewinding it, studying the exact way his eyes move when he mentions her reaction. The attractive woman tells her friend that she's done sleeping around with random men, and this causes her friend to this actually makes her friend understand. This confession marks a massive turning point into the story, shifting the narrative from a bizarre ego-driven crush into a profound personal awakening. By declaring that she is done with casual encounters, the attractive woman reveals that her fixation on this man isn't just about sex. It is a total rejection of the superficial lifestyle she and her friend used to live. Here is why this confession allows the friend to finally understand and support her. The friend's sudden shift from judgment to empathy, seeing the genuine growth. Up until this moment, the friend thought this was just another toxic, dramatic crush. Hearing that it actually has caused her friend to reevaluate her life choices completely changes her perspective. The aha moment. The friend finally realizes that the man's brutal honesty didn't just embarrass her friend, it acted as a mirror. It made her realize how empty her previous relationships were. The friend stops seeing the man as a threat and starts seeing him. Oh crap! Oh God, it's you, Gracie. Oh, yes. Come on, up here. Oh, okay. Yep. Just sit on the leg of my chair. Yep. It's okay. I'll just keep my knees up like this. All right. All right. Where was I? Oh yeah. A new foundation for the friendship. Dropping the superficial acts. Because both women are deeply rooted in normal social behavior, their bond used to resolve around shared drama, dating, and nightlife. This confession elevates their friendship to a much deeper, more mature level. Becoming a real ally. Now that the friend understands this is about self-improvement and genuine connection, she stops fighting the obsession. She accepts it. She is no longer telling her friend to let it go, but instead prepares to help her navigate in this new, healthy way. Oh, turn the chair on. Okay, right there. The attracted woman's new mindset. Stepping into maturity. The woman has officially outgrown her old toolkit. She knows that she can no longer use her looks to easily hook up culture to get what she wants. The high stakes reality. She realizes that if she ever approached this man again, she must do it with absolute raw authenticity. Any hint of a social game or manipulation will be instantly detected and rejected by his master of understanding of human behavior. The two women continue to watch the man's videos, and eventually the attractive woman manages to find the man at the same park and slowly approach him without saying that he's changed her life. This line drops all social pretense and forces a direct, high-stakes confrontation. By telling an autistic master of human behavior that he changed her life based on a single park encounter and a handful of YouTube videos, she is presenting him with profound psychological claim. The man's analytical calibration. Scanning for deception. Because he understands human behavior deeply, his first instinct will not be flattery or confusion. He will instantly analyze her voice modulation, eye movement, and posture to see if this is another joke, an ego game, or a manifestation of erotomania, a delusional attraction. The clinical response. True to his nature, he won't smile or act flattered. He will likely look at her with that same intense, direct gaze and ask for a logical clarification. That statement is statistically improbable based on our limited 4-minute interaction. Explain the mechanism of this change. The test of authenticity. No room for flirting. The woman is now in the hot seat. She cannot rely on standard social scripts or vague romantic phrases. To survive his intense gaze, this time without fainting, she must ground herself and explain her internal shift with absolute, raw clarity. Articulating the truth. She has to explain that his total refusal to play social games made her realize how superficial her life was. and that his videos on human futility actually forced her to seek real substance instead of casual drama. The friend's protective vigilance, watching from the perimeter. Keeping to their new agreement, the friend is still in the park, but she isn't hiding in panic anymore. She is watching to ensure her friend stays grounded and doesn't spiral into an emotional breakdown if his response is brutally cold. Observing the vibe. The friend is hyper-focused on the man's physical posture, ready to intervene if his martial arts presence shifts from calm indifference to an active defensive stance. The potential for real dialogue. Bypassing the boundary. If the man detects that her transformation is genuine, logical, and no longer driven by a superficial desire to conquer him sexually, his behavior might shift. While he will remain autistic and indifferent to standard social pleasantries, he may find value in a logical discussion about human psychology with someone who is actually listening. The man smiles for the first time in front of the two women. The attractive woman explained to him that she found his channel on YouTube and watched every video he made, including the newest one about her. Yes, I literally made that prompt right there. The man's smiles changes everything. For a person with autism who masters human behavior, a smile is not a casual social reflex. It is a deliberate, highly significant response to a perfectly executed pattern break. The anatomy of his smile. The logic behind the smile. He is smiling because she successfully decoded him by tracking down a nearly invisible channel with only 55 subscribers, watching his entire manifesto, and returning with a confession of genuine personal change. She has proven she is no longer operating on normal social human behavior. The sudden shift in atmosphere. The moment his indifference expression cracks into a genuine smile, the heavy gun to the head tension in the park completely evaporates. For the attracted woman, seeing this emotional breakthrough feels like a massive victory. I could see that. The direct digital confession. Owning the obsession. By openly admitting I found your channel and watched a video about me, she strips away the last remnants of social shame. She doesn't play coy or pretend she stumbled across it by accident. She owns her investigation completely. His intellectual satisfaction. As a content creator delivering unfiltered nihilism to an empty void, finding out the exact subject of his psychological case study, listened, understood, and applied his words to her own life is the ultimate validation of his mastery. The friend's utter shock, dropping her guard. Watching from a distance, the protective friend's jaw drops. She spent days viewing this man as a cold, unfeeling robot. Seeing him smile at her friend instantly rewrites her understanding of the entire situation. Realizing the shift. The friend realizes that her friend didn't just walk into a trap. She successfully cracked the most difficult social puzzle they had ever encountered. His next logical move, accepting the connection. Now that she has proven her authenticity, his autistic need for clear, logical communication takes over. He no longer sees her as a superficial park distraction or a medical emergency to manage. The invitation. He looks at her, his face returning to a calm but distinctively softer expression. The gestures to the park bench beside him. He might say something entirely pragmatic. Sitting down will lower your baseline heart rate and prevent another social episode. Let's discuss the specific concepts you found useful. The man calmly explained to the two women that he may be indifferent, but he's still human, and he shows his gratitude towards the attractive woman for her improvement. This statement provides a beautiful conclusion to the character arc, bridging the gap between his rigid, analytical nature and his underlying humanity. By acknowledging his own boundaries while expressing genuine gratitude, he shows that his mastery of human behavior isn't just a cold weapon. It is an authentic way of navigating the world. The paradox of indifferent but human. Demystifying the persona. By stating, I may be indifferent, but I'm still human, he explains his neurodivergence perfectly. His lack of standard social reactions isn't just because he lacks feelings, but because he processes the world through logic and absolute truth. The relief of vulnerability. This admission takes the remaining pressure off the attracted woman. She no longer feels like she is dealing with an unfeeling machine or an untouchable god. He is just a man who values deep substance over superficial social games. Validating her improvement. Intellectual gratitude. For an autistic creator, sharing niche philosophical ideas to a tiny audience, seeing his words spark a literal real-world transformation in the highest form of reward. His gratitude is sincere because she gave his logical observations real human meaning. A new type of intimacy. Because he is a master of human intimacy, he doesn't express gratitude with standard romantic cliches. He validates her hard work and her choice to walk away from a lifestyle that no longer served her, making her feel seen on a profoundly deep level. The friend's complete peace of mind. The final shield drops. Hearing him speak with such calm, respectful clarity completely dismantles the friend's remaining protective defenses. She realizes that her friend is entirely safe with this man. Respect for the dynamic. The friend sees that this interaction has evolved from a chaotic park encounter into a mature, respectful dialogue about self-improvement. Her roles shift from an anxious bodyguard to a supportive witness. A grounded new chapter. Equal footing. The attractive woman can finally look into his intense eyes without the gun to her head feeling. By dropping her social mask and working on herself, she has earned his respect, allowing them to communicate as equals. The bench dialogue. As they sit together in the park, the conversation flows naturally into the very topics that brought them here: human behavior, philosophy, and the pursuit of a meaningful life in a seemingly filtered world. The attractive woman's friend admits to her friend that she's annoyed because she's starting to be sexually attracted to the man too. This admission completely shatters the previous dynamic and creates an entirely new layer of friction between the two women. The friend who originally acted as the protective shield, the voice of reason, and the one shouting "he's a freak" is now trapped in the same philosophical snare, psychological snare. Here is how this realistic, messy twist plays out between them. The confession of deep hypocrisy, the sudden admission. On the walk back during a private moment away from the bench, the friend would likely look at the ground, thoroughly mortified, and snap, "Look, I'm annoyed because I think I'm starting to get attracted to him too, and I hate myself for it." The root of her attraction. The friend's attraction doesn't stem from his YouTube channel videos, but when watching him up close in person, seeing a young-looking, physically imposing martial arts master effortlessly dismantle her friend's social ego, and then break his cold facade to offer a genuine, deeply mature smile, triggered a massive subconscious shift in her. The attractive woman's territorial instincts. The shift away from ally the shift from ally to competitor. For the first woman, this confession is highly threatening. She did the grueling emotional labor. She endured the public humiliation, fainted, binged his videos, changed her lifestyle, and successfully cracked his psychological code. The feeling of betrayal. She would likely feel highly defensive. To her, the friend is casually swoop in and reap the rewards of a connection she didn't work for, completely violating the unwritten rules of normal social human behavior. The man's hypersensitive blueprint, spotting the microshifts. With his master level of understanding of human behavior, the man would pick up on the sudden spike in tension between the two women instantly. He would notice the subtle changes in their body language, the defensive posturing, and the way their eye contact shifts when they look at each other. The logical boundaries. Because he mastered U.S. law, human intimacy, and boundaries, he would not play into a dramatic love triangle. If the man tries to flirt or mimic the first woman's approach, he will immediately detect the lack of authenticity. He would treat the friend's sudden shift as another behavioral pattern to analyze, likely calling it out with the same devastating clarity he used before. A new dynamic for the trio. The ultimate ego test. The two women who started the scenario looking for a casual dominant threesome where they held the power are now locked in a frustrating struggle for the attention of a single indifferent man who completely controls the dynamic. The attractive woman's friends assure that she has nothing to worry about because he's unavailable to them both. This mature reassurance temporarily diffuses the competitive tension and brings both women back down to reality. The friend's logic is devastatingly accurate. A 35-year-old autistic master of human behavior who openly preaches unfiltered nihilism and treats human intimacy like a clinical science is not going to fall into a standard messy dating dynamic with either of them. Either of them. The realism of unavailable. Beyond their toolkit. The friend realizes that this man operates on an entirely different evolutionary plane of socialization. He isn't looking for a girlfriend, a casual hookup, or romantic romance. I'm gonna move my character, Gracie. There we go. My hand's on your head again. The shield of indifference. His calm, grounded indifference means he cannot be won like a normal guy. Recognizing his complete emotional unavailability allows both women to drop their territorial guards and breathe a sigh of relief. A shift to collective appreciation, the shared object of fascination. Instead of fighting over him, the two women can now bond over their shared infatuation safely. He becomes a living, breathing enigma they can study together, a shared core memory that completely disrupted their previous worldview. The equalizer. Because he is equally out of reach for both of them, it removes the threat of rejection or betrayal. They are back on the same team, watching a master of human behavior from a respectful, fascinated distance. Approaching the bench without an agenda. Pure authenticity. Armed with the realization that they absolutely have nothing to lose because the traditional relationship is off the table, the women can approach the park bench with zero hidden motives. The man's assessment. As they sit down, the man will instantly process their synchronized, relaxed body language. With his deep understanding of intimacy and behavior, he will note that the competitive anxiety between them has vanished, replacing by a clean, genuine desire to simply listen and learn. The two women live together in a small two-bedroom apartment, and they both no longer invite random men and party anymore. However, the attractive woman fantasizes about the men daily. This change in their living environment highlights the permanent structural impact of the man that had on their lives. By transforming their shared two-bedroom apartment from a chaotic party hub into a quiet, disciplined sanctuary, they have officially walked away from their old lifestyle. Yet, the attractive woman's daily fantasies prove that while her outward behavior is disciplined, her inner world is completely consumed by him. Oh, Gracie, your fur is just so soft. Yes. I'm gonna move my character real quick. Yes, Gracie. Alright, from chaos to calm. Every time I scratch your neck, I always get your hair on my face. Ah, it's so weak. The apartment, which is used to be filled with standard drama and casual hookups, morning after awkwardness, and party cleanup, is now a peaceful environment. The two roommates have replaced the noise of random men with quiet routines, perhaps spending their evenings processing his videos or discussing philosophy. The shared secret. The apartment holds the weight of their transformation. It is a place where the attractive woman fainted, where they binged his 55 subscriber YouTube channel, and where they ultimately agreed that he is completely out of reach. I can hear you purring, Gracie. Yes. Yes, I can hear you purring. The nature of her daily fantasies. The allure of the gaze. Her daily fantasies are likely not justified through sexual scenarios, because she understands his deep mastery of intimacy. She fantasizes about the overwhelming intensity of his direct, unblinking eye contact, recreating that gun-to-the-head adrenaline rush in a safe, private space. Breaking the stoic. Her mind fixates on the ultimate psychological challenge, imagining what it would take to make a completely indifferent clinical master of human behavior lose control. She plays his rare, genuine park smile over and over in her head, treating it like a baseline of like a deeper connection with him would feel like. I gotta wipe my nose. There's literally a hair on the bridge of my nose, and it is so annoying to feel. The friend's silent observation, reading the room. Living together in a small two-bedroom apartment means friends notices everything. The friend notices her. She sees the attractive woman spacing out, staring at her phone, or quietly smiling to herself while holding a cup of coffee. The pact of understanding. Because the friend already admitted she felt a spark of that same attraction, she doesn't judge or mock the daydreaming. Instead, there is a silent, mutual understanding between them. The friend serves as a grounding anchor, letting her roommate indulge in the fantasy without letting it spiral back into self-destructive or obsessive real-world stalking. Alright, hold on a second, Rizzy. The two women live their lives better. The attractive woman slowly loses her lust over the man over time and moves on. This brings a grounded, realistic, and deeply satisfying conclusion to this fictional scenario. By allowing the intense lust to naturally fade over time, I feel a hair on my cheek. The story highlights that the man wasn't a permanent obsession, but a necessary catalyst for personal transformation. The natural curve of desensitization. The brain resets. Daily fantasies is one on my nose again. Daily fantasies require a massive amount of mental energy. Over months, as the woman maintains her new disciplined lifestyle, her brain's dopamine levels normalize. My God, it's so itchy. Ah, ah, oh, that felt bad. That felt so much. Oh, it's coming back again. The apartment as a launch pad. Wait, did I? Oh, wait, okay. From lust to respect. The burning, obsessive sexual desire slowly cools down into a profound, quiet gratitude. She no longer looks at his YouTube channel to feel an adrenaline rush. She looks at it like a reminder of the turning point in her life. The apartment as a launch pad. Oh, wow, it's on my nose. Ugh. Building a real future. With the chaos of random men and constant partying permanently removed, the two roommates use their quiet two-bedroom apartment to focus on their actual goals, careers, education, and genuine hobbies. The bond endures. The shared experience of encountering the man remains a core pillar of their friendship, and it is an inside joke, a philosophical milestone, and a secret code word they use whenever they see someone playing superficial social games. Re-entering the dating world with high standards. The new baseline. When the attractive woman finally decides to date again, her expectations are entirely different. She can no longer be easily manipulated by standard pickup lines, fake confidence, or superficial drama. Seeking true intimacy. Because she experienced the raw, unfiltered presence of a master of human behavior, she now looks for men who possess genuine self-awareness, emotional clarity, and absolute honesty. That does sound like an ideal man. The final legacy of the park encounter. A ghost in the background. The man continues to sit in the park, completely unaware of the permanent structural shift he caused in the lives of two strangers. He keeps uploading videos to his tiny audience of 55 subscribers with the same exact calm and different look on his face. Moving on. One day, the woman walks past the same public park, glances at the bench, and smiles gently to herself. She doesn't feel a racing pulse, a drop in blood pressure, or desire to approach. She just takes a deep breath, keeps walking, and completely reclaims her life. Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day, everybody. Bye.